Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pitchside Podcast channel. I am the host, the HOD of the PSP, and of course, we're coming to you here with a discussion about the PSG. Of course, I'm not alone in this one. Of course, I'm joined by the host of the PSG International channel. Of course, check them out. If you are a PSG fan, certainly they need your support. Welcome, Mohammed.
Thank you very much having me on Pitchside Podcast. Very nice pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Like, share, comment on this video, of course, subscribe to the channel, the usual drill. I'll be putting the links to his channel in the description. You can check that out as well and follow us on social media. I'll also be putting those links in the description. Let's not waste time. I'm going to be straight away asking you, where do you see PSG this season?
PSG this season, I see a bright future for us, especially with Mauricio Pochettino coming in and already in 4 games, I believe, he's coached. We're playing much different, much better. The players are coming back from injuries and stuff. And we're first place in League One, back to first place. So I see us winning League One as usual, the cups as usual, and in the Champions League. Then, because it's all about luck and which teams you draw and stuff, and how bad or good they are. But I see PSG have a very good chance of competing in the Champions League this season.
Um, I would disagree with the point that you said about luck because I don't think that any team in the Champions League has been more lucky than PSG last season. You
No, no,
draw,
last season exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because you draw against the likes of Atalanta and Leipzig. All respect to those teams, by the way,
Mm.
they're really good. But this sort of dampers your achievement. It almost makes the achievement of reaching the Champions League final seem, not important because of the clubs that you faced in the knockout rounds.
Mm.
Obviously, as you mentioned, Ligue 1 is not going to be a problem winning it for PSG. I don't follow Ligue 1 a lot, to be fair. I'm just, keeping, in touch with the results and the table. That's it. I don't exactly follow matches.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you: do you really feel the difference with Mauricio Pochettino? Like, what is the difference between Pochettino and Tuchel? Like, one big difference.
For me, why I wanted Tuchel out from this season was because I felt that he had lost the dressing room. The players weren't listening to his system, his tactics, and that's the biggest change when Pochettino has come in. I can see his tactics, like the pressing. Tuchel always talked about pressing, but we never pressed like a really good pressing side like Liverpool or Tottenham on the Pochettino. But so far, on just 4 games, when we lose the ball in the third half in the opponent's box, I see 4 PSG players running and getting it back. So the biggest thing I see is intensity and pressure on the other side.
Yeah. Um, I mean, to be fair, I watched Thomas Tuchel mostly through the Champions League, like most people who don't follow PSG or the Ligue 1 would do.
Mm.
I mean, you're certainly right, but also, I mean, I had a couple of, of times to watch League A games when I didn't have other games to look forward to. I watched PSG Marseille a couple of times last season. You're
Yeah.
right. I mean, Thomas Tuchel lost the dressing room in the later stages of last season, particularly with Mbappe and Neymar. He completely fell out with them in the last couple of months, and probably the things he said about the sporting director in PSG and Leonardo were not good. They didn't go well with the board. That's
Yeah.
why. I mean, I still think that Thomas Tuchel being sacked was more related to the board and the fact that the board didn't like him more than the results on the pitch, because the guy just reached the final of the Champions League, which is, as far as PSG are concerned, it's the biggest European achievement you could ever ask for. I know they won the Cup Winners' Cup in '93, I think, but this is another level compared to that. And with that squad, it's something really big. I mean, what is your perspective on Tuchel's sacking? Do you really think it's about results?
Yeah, because we have to put aside the first 2 years of Tuchel's spell. We have to talk about this season because he got sacked this season for his performances. Like most of the games were won, like against Manchester United, important game. It was much more about the brilliance of our players, like Neymar, how he could have scored from tight angles and dribbled past three players. It was not so much that we overcome teams with our tactics. So that's for me the problem. And then the other thing, he sometimes made some really stupid decisions tactically. Like Danilo Pereira is a central defensive midfielder and Marquinhos is a centre back. But sometimes he switched between them for no apparent reason. And once I remember a left back got injured. Instead of putting inside a left back, he put the right back at left back and the left back at right back, something like. So I thought that his tactics didn't work. No one was listening to him, and the players were angry at him, at his tactics and decisions.
Yeah, I mean, you can be right about that. I sometimes follow the, as I mentioned, I don't exactly watch on a religious basis League A or something like that. I follow sometimes the results and I watch some highlights when possible. Sometimes he was playing 3-5-2 with PSG. Like that was weird considering
Mm,
the players that he has. Like he has Neymar, Mbappe, and Di Maria, one of the strongest front three in the world, and you play 3-5-2.
yeah.
Like like how do you think Pochettino is going to be setting up? Because I reckon he's going to be copying the 4-2-3-1 that he used with Tottenham. Do you think he will do that with PSG?
Yeah, he has already done that. Our four games under Pochettino have been the same formation, the same tactics, and that's one thing I didn't like about Tuchel. Yeah, he used a lot of different formations, but he never had one formation he stuck to and the players were comfortable with. He always changed, and it made the players unhappy with their roles because they didn't know for the upcoming game what role or if they were going to start or not. So that's one thing I like about Pochettino, the consistency, having the same formation, the same players every time.
Staying in Pochettino, and obviously very very my wishes to him speedy recovery from COVID-19 and all. Um, I mean, do you think that he is the missing piece? Like he is the guy that is going to be taking PSG to the promised land of winning the Champions League and fulfilling the dream with this? I mean, I think, in my opinion, there will never be a stronger generation in PSG because you had great players since you had players that went on to become great in other clubs outside of PSG, and I think, the names just speak for themselves. I think there's Ronaldinho, who left PSG and became famous in Barcelona. Didier Drogba left PSG and became famous in Chelsea. So I think now PSG, they turned their situation to become a team where players come to become famous in, if you know what I mean, if you understand my point.
Yes.
So I think this might be the greatest generation PSG ever had. And of course, it needed a lot of building. So, to not say other words, to not refer to money or anything,
Mm.
it needed a lot of building. It needed a lot of, sort of harmony to be built, chemistry to be built between
Yeah.
the players over the last couple of years so they can reach the Champions League final. Now, do you believe that Pochettino is that missing piece? Like, he reached the same level with Tottenham. He was in the Champions League final with Tottenham. So, do you think that him coming to PSG with this sort of reputation doesn't put enough pressure on him, like doesn't sort of get into his head and maybe affect his mentality for the season?
Yeah, I would say the PSG is the biggest, maybe not the biggest, but the hardest managerial job in the world because winning the league and cups are standard, but winning the Champions League is what you need to do. And every manager has 2 seasons. If he doesn't win the Champions League, he's out. Same thing happened with Unai Emery, Laurent Blanc, and Thomas Tuchel. So yeah, Pochettino will feel really stressful in this position. But I feel, like you said, maybe he's not the missing piece, but he adds to something that we didn't have before, and that was Tuchel. He was only a manager. He was only a manager, but Pochettino, with him having played for PSG before, captaining PSG, Like before the game against Marseille, he was saying, "I don't care about the trophy. I care about PSG's pride." He went into the game to win against Marseille, not to win the Super Cup. So that's one thing I like about Pochettino. He respects the club. He knows what it means to play for the club and win. So
I mean, of course, he was a defender for PSG. Like he was a
mm,
player for PSG, so he knows exactly what that rivalry against Marseille means. Now, last I checked, of course, PSG now are joint top Ligue 1 alongside Lille, I think, with
mm,
42 points, if I'm correct.
yeah,
So like again, you mentioned that Ligue 1 is the standard, and winning it is, pretty much almost a sort of the minimum for any coach for PSG. I mean, you had great coaches over the last couple of years. Again, you mentioned, I mean, Unai Emery, who went on, to have, better things with Sevilla than with PSG. Carlo
yeah,
Ancelotti was there as well. Uh,
mm,
didn't exactly work. You mentioned Laurent Blanc. I think Laurent Blanc had a very short uh, period as a manager in PSG compared to the others. Mauricio Pochettino, I think, and you're right about saying that PSG is the hardest managerial job in the world because the board at PSG is like so picky and so choosy. Like, it feels like they can change on a whim, and their judgment to the managers based on their results can really change quickly. The first game was against Saint Etienne, and it was a draw, and obviously people had the right to be skeptical because the start wasn't exactly what the club wanted. But
mm,
apparently, the last couple of games, I think PSG picked up steam, and of course, now winning the Super Cup or the Trophée des Champions, as it's called in French, against
yeah.
Marseille of all clubs, despite Marseille playing really well from all I gathered and I watched. So, I mean, I want you to give me a definitive answer. How much percentage do you think PSG have as a chance of winning the Champions League, being the standard?
Winning the Champions League. When I look at the Champions League, I try to look all the teams and which teams we can beat, which teams we can beat comfortably, and which teams it's hard, and which team I believe we will lose to. I don't see a team in the Champions League that I can definitely say we will lose to. I would say that every team is beatable, especially with the firepower we have. Like, especially when Mbappe comes back in form, we have Neymar. For me, is the best player in 2020, better than Lewandowski quality-wise and what he brings to the field. And our defense, Marquinhos, Kimpembe, and Navas goalkeeper is fixed. Our midfield, the only thing that has stopped PSG sometimes from going further in the Champions League is the injury. Injuries are the biggest problem in PSG. So if none of the injuries happen, I really see maybe PSG being the second, third team to win the Champions League, maybe after Bayern and Manchester City, or
Um,
between them.
you mentioned injuries. I think something else also lacks PSG. In my opinion, they lack someone creative. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think they lack a number 10. Because if you watch PSG, most of their games, it feels like they have the defensive line, a midfield line, like there is a central midfielder, and the players around him that are defending, and you feel like Neymar, Di Maria, and Mbappe are very far high up the pitch, and there is no link up. There's no player that can pick up that pass and you make like make the distribution like sort of a Thiago figure, if you know
Mm,
what I mean, like a Thiago
yeah.
like figure in PSG. Do you think that I mean? Do you think that will affect also PSG? Because in my opinion, it does. Like that is, I think, what it was missing from PSG to win the Champions League against Bayern in particular. They missed that creative figure that would, if Mbappe, Neymar, and Di Maria failed to score or failed to create, the creation comes from behind, and that would keep the danger of those front three, consistent in defense.
Um, yeah, chance creation is a big problem right now for PSG, especially with Di Maria dipping in form. Di Maria is not the same he was 1, 2 seasons. I remember last season he got the second most assist in Europe, I think, after De Bruyne. But this
Yes.
but this season he has been awful. losing the ball all the time, and so the only player that can create chances for us is Neymar, who has to drop deep, but
Yeah,
then he isn't in the attack anymore. But that's one important thing Pochettino is already trying to fix, and that's Verratti. He is trying to get Verratti a bit higher up the pitch, still contributing defensively, but getting higher up the pitch. For example, the last game, Verratti had 10 passes into the final third, the most of any PSG player. So Pochettino has seen that problem that you were talking about and is trying to fix it, linking the midfield, the defense with the attack. But maybe we're after Dele Alli and Ericsson. So Leonardo and Pochettino both know that we need a number 10, so Neymar can stay higher up the pitch. So I cannot say until the end of the transfer, but yeah, chance creation is a big problem for PSG this season.
okay, so carrying on that theme, if you have the ability to buy one player in that position as a number 10 and creative chances, who do you think is the best suited player to be in that position?
Out of the players we're linked with,
I mean, you can choose. I mean, not necessarily that.
well, realistically, with the players we're after, I would say Christian Eriksen, because he
Yeah,
has played under Pochettino. He knows Pochettino's system, and I remember when he was in the Premier League, I think his chance creation was even better than De Bruyne.
yeah.
So uh, Eriksen would be the best choice.
I mean, that would take quite the work, though, considering how he's is really, really bad at Inter at the moment. He's not being even featured.
Mm,
Sometimes he's not even on the squad of the game. So, I mean, I
yeah.
reckon it would take a lot of work. And to be fair, I mean, I'm not gonna be disrespectful here. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I think Ligue 1 isn't gonna be exactly the league where you can judge Christian Eriksen. I mean, he can do fine because PSG are strong. He can still do fine because PSG are a strong side and they can still win the league and what have you. But I
Mm.
don't think that the Ligue 1 as a whole, as a league, can be, an apt sort of meter to judge Christian Eriksen upon because he can do like 20 to 30 assists in league easily because Mbappe will score. They will score against
Mm.
any opponent, and Neymar as well, and Di Maria as well, and Moise Kean as well is coming into his prime. I think he's doing really well also. So I think those players will score and will benefit from his assists. But I mean, I think you get my idea. Like Ligue 1 is not going to be exactly a great level of intensity or competition that will be able to judge Christian Eriksen upon. Like, do you think realistically that could give PSG the edge in the Champions League, for example?
Um, yeah, it's hard because always when I try to debate with other fans about PSG players and comparing them to others, I always stick to the Champions League stats because League and being an inferior league other to the others quality wise. So yeah, it's hard to see, but if Pochettino is pushing Leonardo for the transfer of Eriksen, it means that Pochettino knows that he can get Eriksen back to form and playing the same way. And why Eriksen isn't playing for Inter, it's mostly because he doesn't fit into the system because Antonio Conte plays without a center attacking midfielder.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, I still think that probably they would need. I mean, they would need someone like Christian Eriksen, obviously, but also, I mean, they need more intense players, if you know what I mean. Like, there's still, I think, some sort of um, as aspects in the midfield that are lacking in PSG. A player that can, backtrack, be similar to N'Golo Kante, for example, in Chelsea, who can backtrack and make a lot of work in the midfield to intercept balls in the midfield and what have you. Do you think you agree with me or not? I think that is a lacking position as well, like a central defensive midfielder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, Marquinhos is the perfect player for that position. But the problem is we don't have a quality right-footed centre back to play alongside Kimpembe. So Marquinhos would fit into that place perfectly, but he has to play in defense. So that Pochettino is already trying with the midfielder he has to partner with Verratti.
Yeah,
So he has tried with Idrissa Gueye,
yeah,
uh, Paredes, and Ander Herrera, and all their numbers defensively have risen up when Pochettino has played them. Uh,
yes.
I, Paredes, one of the biggest stuff I didn't like about him was how he was off the ball. He didn't do a lot of tackles, interception, and so on. But the last game I checked, he had seven tackles and interceptions against Angers. So he's getting the players that maybe haven't the best intensity, as you said, to play even better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna wrap this up. Of course, I'm gonna ask you one final question. Of course, just to to put you on the spot. Probably, I want
Mm,
you to give me a defined prediction, so to speak, to your season. So now you won the trophy des champions.
yeah.
I mean, let's say the Ligue 1 and the Coupe and the Coupe de France and Coupe de Ligue probably going to be won. So how do you think they will fare in the Champions League? Like, I want a defined answer.
Mm.
How far you would think they will go in the Champions League?
In the Champions League. So for me, against Barcelona, I believe we're already through because I see Barca's problems being our biggest advantages. So, like one of our biggest advantages or biggest strength is Neymar running through the midfield, and with them having a slow Busquets and a De Jong that pushes up a lot, I see us going through against Barcelona. And then if Juventus, I would say we win. It's only City and Bayern, and I believe one of them we will meet in the final. And if especially if we meet Bayern in the final again, we need to win. So I believe that with PSG losing last year's final, they will overcome and win this year's Champions League.
Oh, so you're going all the way. So you're going until the final. That is quite audacious prediction from you. Let's wrap it up. Thank you, of course, for joining me and being a part of this very thorough discussion about PSG. Of course, hopefully we're going to be doing more of those as the season
Thank you.
progresses. Certainly, I'm going to be back to you ahead of the Barcelona game in the Champions League. We're certainly going to be having a talk about that, aren't we? Like, share in the end, of course, comment on this video. What do you think of PSG this season? Where do you think they will end up? How they're going to be faring this season? Subscribe to PSG International channel. The links will be in the descriptions as well. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at site PSP. Pitch Side Pod on Instagram as well. Links to PSG International Twitter will be in the description as well. I was your boy, the HOD of the PSP, and until the next time, I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.